Hi there, I'm Mathew Wright. Welcome to a brand new series of Inside Out London. Here's what's coming up on tonight's show. Beating the recession. Why business is booming for London's top restaurants.
You have to provide value for money. And our lunch menu certainly provides value for money. It's an all-in inclusive price, and people are attracted by that.
Scrapping the sick note. How your GP could force you back to work.
I would find it a real struggle, because how can you understand if a patient says that I can't work? How can you understand their workplace to try and say, yes, you can work?
And how green oases are springing up in the capital's concrete jungle.
I'm talking to my neighbors now. They see me in the garden, they talk to me. They see me even outside, they wave me.
With more and more Londoners wanting to grow their own veg, demand for allotment places has never been higher. Indeed, some council waiting lists run for decades. But more of us could grow our own grub if Mayor Boris Johnson gets his way. He's launched a scheme which aims to reclaim 2,012 pieces of unused land for vegetable growing by the time the Olympics arrive in 2012. I visited a once blighted estate in northwest London, where one of these mini-urban allotments is already bearing fruit. On one side of the Westway lies the Edgware Road, with its exotic Arab headgear and hookah pipes. On the other, it's a very different story indeed. Tiny streets full of council estates, more estates, and even more estates, with barely a window box, let alone a garden, to be seen. This particular estate is the perfect example of an unforgiving concrete urban landscape. Bricks, tarmac, the ubiquitous fenced-in football pitch, but just through here lies a verdant, veggie surprise.
We have everything in this garden here.
Peppers, I can see growing down there.
That's the hot pepper, tomatoes. We've got some carrots there.
Yeah. Oh, that was good. Doesn't come any fresher than that.
I've got some beans and some Brussels sprouts, and I have some marrow over there.
We had our first salad and mint tea the other day, and it's fantastic.
This allotment was started 4 months ago by one man. He had a small balcony and decided to grow a few tomatoes on it. As he stared out at his rather grim surroundings and watched his fruit grow, he spotted an unused concrete yard, and his mind turned to bigger ideas than just window boxes.
I was thinking to myself, well, next year I want to grow some more. I want to grow some parsnips. I passed the gate one day and the cleaners had accidentally left the gate unlocked. And I thought, I'll have a look round. And then I thought to myself, well, this would be ideal. I could have beetroot, I could have leeks, I could have cabbage.
But it was concrete floor. I mean, it's tarmac floor. So, I mean, what, did you have the vision then for the bags?
Well, a lot of things sort of fell into place at the same time. I had, by chance, seen an article in the press about capital growth, the Boris Johnson scheme linked to the Olympics. And then I started researching, and I saw these bags, and I thought, well, that can't cost very much. I didn't realise that that amount of soil costs about £70 to £80 a bag in itself. That's why you need a launch grant of £1,000 to get enough money to buy the soil. The soil, the water and the land are the three key ingredients that you can't just make come out of thin air. The estate manager really took a leap of faith about this. When he heard that the application for the capital growth funding had been successful, he said straight away, without even me asking him, we'll match fund that.
I thought it was a bit off the wall to start with, but after I listened to the residents who had come up with the idea, I thought that the area that they were talking about potentially was dead space anyway. There was no likelihood that we were going to do anything with it. This area now has become a focal point for the residents on the estate. It's very, very positive, and the feel-good factor is terrific.
So Mike got started with just £1,000 from a project called Capital Growth, backed by the London Mayor. Boris Johnson has already drawn up plans to have fruit trees growing in the grassed-over moat at the Tower of London and allotments on the roof of the Hayward Gallery. But aside from gimmicks, their real plans are to help turn lots of unused pieces of land all over our city into mini allotments.
There's no allotments out there for anyone. The waiting lists are massive. We know about the 40+ year waiting lists that are in Camden, the 20+ year waiting lists that are in Islington, etc., etc. And there's lots of land out there within London that could be utilised better. So we have basically started working with major landowners to get them to free up more land that they own. There's quite a number of great projects going on in housing estates specifically throughout London, but as well as that, there's obviously a lot of schools get involved. There's a prison in southwest London that are running training courses on their food growing area. There's a whole host of different types of projects out there. I mean, it's so varied.
Now, you could be forgiven for thinking this is just a story about people growing their own delicious vegetables for the first time. But this venture takes on an entirely different meaning when you consider what this estate used to be like before the allotment. Burnt out cars, marauding youths. No wonder residents didn't want to leave their flats, even on a gorgeous summer evening like this. What was the estate like before this project?
I want to run away from here.
Really?
Yeah. I want to run away from here because...
Why? What was going on?
Too much trouble, I can say. It was too much kids and youths who are everywhere.
It was very dangerous around here. Children couldn't go out to play.
You look on your window to say, oh, I'm going to go and do my shopping. You peep down, you see them all over everywhere.
It's beginning to look like something needs to be done. It's easy enough to increase our patrols into this estate, basically increase our presence in here. We also spoke to the very capable estate manager who addressed certain issues of security. For example, the gate behind me, it's no longer a gate, it doesn't open. That restricted the number of entrances to the estate to 2, which meant that if we did come into the estate and there were people here, if they wanted to stay, well, we could go and have a chat with them. If for any reason they wanted to leave, they would have to walk past us.
Obviously, if you're up to no good, walking past the police is the last thing on your mind. So things quietened down, and fairly quickly, this became a place fit for vegetables. Hopefully the troublemakers have moved on for good, but even now the garden has to be fenced in and locked. That is true of all allotments though. But these vegetable growers believe that it isn't just veg they're growing, but now a real sense of community too. People who just passed in the streets now actually know each other.
It never was like this before we actually started the gardening. I mean, everybody used to keep themselves to themselves, but now we're interacting a lot. We get to see a lot of people that we've never seen before.
I can't believe it's like this now. It's very nice and beautiful.
We've cut some wooden plates and put some soil in them to grow vegetables and fruits.
We'll expand it, probably growing more things, like other vegetables. And I'm thinking to grow flowers as well soon.
That was a nice idea.
Yeah.
I'm talking to my neighbors now. They see me in the garden, they talk to me. They see me even outside, they wave me. Hi, I said hi.
You see how Amy's saying people talk to each other now? Not even just the people that come in this, because people observe a different level. You know how this business in London that people will go in the tube and
not talk to each other, yeah.
Shut up.
And here everyone's chatting. It is remarkable. It is remarkable. Yeah. Well done you. Well done you.
Thank you very much, Matthew.
There really is nothing more satisfying than growing your own veg, and what's more, on days like these, you don't even have to water them. Well, that's nearly all for this week's show, but before we go, let's have a quick look at what's coming up on next week's programme. Beaten up for being too fat.
I look up and a woman is screaming in my face, "You big fat pig!"
Why fat people are demanding fat rights. the urban music the police say is too dangerous to perform, and how the Queen made history visiting her own swans.
It's the first time in the history of a reigning monarch that actually visited Swan Up Inn, and she was very, very interested in the swans.
And that's about all from this week's Inside Out London. Don't forget though, if you want to watch any of tonight's programme again, go to our website. The address is bbc.co.uk/Inside Out, and then click on London. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next time.